Hello everybody. My name is Sophia Krix, and today I will be presenting my poster on predicting adverse drug reactions via heterogeneous graph neural network learning using multimodal input data. This work was done in the lab of Holger Fröhlich in collaboration with Laura Nicole DeLong, Sumit Madan, and Daniel Domingo Fernandez. First, I want to tell you about our motivation for this poster. So adverse events are a main cause for the failure of clinical studies. Therefore, we developed an approach to counteract this and predict adverse events before the first clinical study starts. We incorporated biological, chemical, and medical data into the prediction pipeline. The data that we used was, on the one hand side, a knowledge graph, which we generated out of multiple interaction databases. And this resulted in a heterogeneous biomedical knowledge graph, which was multi-relational and had different node types, as you can see. As a layer on top, we used node features for each of the node types. So for the drugs, we had molecular fingerprints, their gene expression profiles, and their morphological profiles. For the proteins, we had sequence embeddings and generated gene ontology fingerprints. And for the conditions, we used clinical concept embeddings. So as to the methods and the approach we developed, we have this model architecture, which I will explain in some steps now, which is comprised of an encoder and a decoder part. The encoder part starts with a multimodal embedding layer, meaning that we can use this multimodal input from the slide before of a drug that is comprised of different modalities, and then generate a d-dimensional vector embedding of that. We continue by using an either relational graph convolutional neural network or relational graph attention network, where we basically generate a hidden representation of each node in the graph. So what we're going to do is, this is done for all of the nodes in the graph. And then in the decoder, we can use a representation of a triple, meaning a drug that has a certain relation of type side effect, for example, to a certain condition. And with the decoder, we can use these information to predict the probability of a certain drug related to a certain condition as a type of side effect. I want to talk a bit more about the encoder that I just mentioned, where we have two different options. We can either use a relational graph convolutional neural network or a relational graph attention network in our case. So what you can see here is just a visualization of how the information flows from the first order neighborhood of the destination node to the node VI, or even the hidden representation of that node HI. On the right-hand side, you can see that the RGAT has the attention mechanism on top, which I will explain in the next slides. So how a single node update is actually computed and generated in a relational graph convolutional neural network is that we gather the activation, so these vectors from neighboring nodes, from each of the relations, and transform them for each of the relations individually. Also, we add a self loop, meaning we incorporate nodes representation from the layer beforehand. The resulting representation is then accumulated and passed through an activation function for the updated node representation. Now I want to quickly show you how the message passing works for the RGAT and the RTCN. So basically we have HI, which is the hidden state of the node VI in the neural network. And we can calculate that by accumulating the incoming messages from the RTCN or the RGAT and passing it through an activation function. So in a multi-relational graph, this calculation is done, of course, for every relation R. And then we sum also on top of all overall neighbors J of the node I that we're interested in. And we do a linear transformation with the weight matrix WR that is specific for its relation type. And in the RTCN, we apply a normalization constant and also add a self loop to incorporate the node's previous representation, as I said before. For the RGAT, we perform self-attention on the nodes. So we use a shared attentional mechanism to compute some attention coefficients that basically measure the importance of node J's features to node I. That in short. Now I want to go to the results that we have of our models. So the models that have the RTCN or the RGAT as the encoder have very good results in training, validation, and test set scenarios. And I have listed the AU-ROC, accuracy, average precision, F1 score, and the precision and the recall here. These are results that are averaged over all relation types. So I also wanted to show you how the results for the specific edge types look like. And here you can see that since we optimized or tuned the model on the side effect edge, we also got the results that we were hoping for the prediction of drug condition side effect edges. My conclusion for this work here is that we have generated a new versatile method for side effect prediction involving multimodal data input. And we scored a high performance of our predictions of side effect edges in the test set. Our next steps are that we're going to do a model interpretation using explainability methods and also compare our method to other baseline methods. These are my references, and I thank you very much for listening, and I hope to receive some questions. Bye.